What's up, everyone? Andy and Nathan from WagerTalk.com. We're going to take an early look at UFC Fight Night, Strickland versus Magomedov, and we will be back Thursday or Friday once the props and all the spreads are released. But we want to get a look at the card right now and see what we have going on here. All of our official plays can be found at WagerTalk.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. I'm at Bup Sports. Nathan, let's just get right into it.
All right.
And we'll just go fight by fight here. So let's just start here with Guram, Kutaladze, and Elves Brener. I kind of think Guram is kind of the overwhelming favorite on the card. Like if you're picking one, it's kind of Guram right here. I just don't see a whole lot of paths to victory for Brener. I think Guram has him covered it everywhere. What do you think?
No, I agree. I mean, I think that Brenner is actually a good, he will be a good buy low candidate probably after this fight in the UFC. He's big for the division. He's aggressive. He's got good striking. He came in won against Tukagulov on short notice is a huge, I think he was like a 470 underdog. Anyway, on this particular card, he was supposed to fight Jordan Levitt, the Monkey King, and would have dismantled him.
Yes, he would have.
And then that fight got canceled. And so Guram's opponent got canceled. And so they just put these two guys together. But anyway, yeah, Guram being 12-3, he's winning his last four of his last five. He's won 9-fight winning streak. Was beating Gamrot in his debut. I mean, he looks awesome. He's just, that striker, grappler, hybrid, just great cardio, great takedowns, great takedown defense, good scrambles, his combos on the feet. I think his pace is just going to be too much for Brener to handle. If he gets it up against the cage, if he gets on the ground, I think it's it's Guram's kind of world. And then on the feet, I think that he's going to be fast enough to stay on the outside, jump in, pick him apart, and step out and avoid the big power of Brener. I mean, Brenner's not bad. I'm saying, like, in a world, like, there's a chance in which he could catch Guram with an overhand right, as it is in MMA. There's always a puncher's chance, but for the most part, this is Guram's fight to lose. So,
yeah, I like Brener's skill set. He's just not quite as polished when you put their film together. You're like, oh, that guy's just a little bit more polished, Guram. And Brener will leave just a couple of openings, and that's all Guram needs to pounce with a good strike or a takedown. So, I think we both believe that Guram is probably the best bet on the card. Obviously, you have to use it a parlay piece, and we'll see if we can find some more. Yikes. Alexandr Romanov and Blagoy Ivanov. This is not the fight we wanted. It's the fight we needed, Nathan.
Yeah. This is the 1-800, as they say, 1-800 gambler. This is the one on the card, right? You've got Ivanov, who he sticks around, man. It's and you have Romanov, who undefeated up into his last two fights, and then you don't know what you're going to get, where the mindset of this man is. I was high on Romanov coming into the UFC. Followed his career out of Russia. He actually has like solid stand-up striking if he actually does it. But he, falls in love with his grappling, his like literal suplexes into the ring, suplexing heavyweights over his head, eating his cardio into nothing. And he ends up, just, just kind of gassing, man. So his last two performances have been lackluster. So they're putting him up against Blagoy, who never goes down. He is a tank, and all he does is throw a 1-2 left, right hook combo, and that's it. Like, as soon as he sees the opponent throwing a strike, he just immediately, like,
if it ain't broke, Nathan,
he just if it ain't broke, that's all he does. Goes, gets him up against the cage. He's going to do some cage work, some grinding. So this is really, I mean, the odds are where they are for a reason. It's going to be a close fight. If you can imagine, if it would have been Romanov 2 fights ago, the odds would have been, he probably would have been a minus 1,000, like he was in the fight that he lost.
Yeah.
Yes, you can't trust it.
No, I'm with you. I mean, you weren't watching weigh-ins live. I was, and I was like, "Have you seen what Romanov looks like?"
You texted me. You're like, I was like, "Oh, he's doing that for the weight. Like he wants the mass. He wants the no." It was a sloppy.
It was terrible.
That haircut.
So I think Ivanov just has to survive round one. I think if he survives round one, who cares if you lose the round? I think Romanov is done after rounds one. I mean,
Yeah,
Ivanov might even be smart enough to let Romanov take him down. To
he's
just,
got
hey,
good.
gas yourself. All I got to do is not get finished in the first round, and I think Ivanov has it.
Yeah, I think that it just depends. Like, okay, here's the deal. I mean, it's all about the fight IQ with Romanov. I mean, really. I mean, that's what I'm realizing after seeing his 2 losses. He's got the base skill. He's got amazing grappling, amazing submissions. He's got underrated stand up that if he actually kind of like decided to stand with his opponent with some of them, depending upon the matchup, he'd win handily. I mean, if you see some of the stuff that he did up, in the Russian circuit and all that, it's pretty impressive. His high kicks, I mean, he's actually kind of light on his feet when he wants to be, but he's just fallen in love with his body slams, which just he doesn't have the cardio for in this heavyweight division where he's fighting people, I guess, that are just way, way bigger than what he's used to. So depending upon the type of Romanov that we're going to get, I think weigh-ins is going to sway a lot of people's decisions. If you get that, the cut Romanov that we saw against the Marcin Tybura fight, I think that he has a chance. Or no, not the. Sorry, that's my bad. No, yeah, Marcin
Yeah,
Tybura.
yeah. It was
Yeah,
Tybura. He was cut. Volkov was the one where he showed up
where
looking
he
like
showed up fat and
a
Volkov just
blob.
ate him apart. And I think I don't know. I think it's also because Marcin Tybura, as we know now, has an underrated gas tank and is actually kind of an underrated heavyweight. I mean, he just stays in there, so it's not that bad of a loss looking back now that we've seen Marcin Tybura kind of, do what he's done. Um, but yeah, it's a stay away for me entirely because you just don't know what you're going to get. It is kind of safe to do a live bet on Blagoy after the first round because of the cardio factor of Romanov. But I try to do Instagram searching. I try to do all this stuff on Roman, see what he was doing, see if he was improving, see if he was taking it serious. And there's nothing out there. It's just like, hey, I coached some kids. I took a picture of my girlfriend or wife, or I don't know what it's all in Russian, so I don't know what it is. But anyway,
That's
moving
great.
on.
Moving on. All right. Up next, Joanderson Brito versus Westin Wilson. We can move on to the next one. No, so all right. Listen, I went and looked up Westin Wilson. He did what he's supposed to do. When UFC calls, you take the fight.
Mm-hmm.
This is what second. This is the second replacement for this fight, and Wilson is just walking into a buzzsaw. I looked up Wilson. He likes to take guys down. He likes to submit. His striking defense is terrible. His hands are down at his side. He's fought nobody. I mean, the guy's 16-7. He's 34 years old, and Brito, I think, is going to make mincemeat of Wilson. Can you make any case for Westin Wilson?
The only case I can make for Westin Wilson is if it gets out of the first round for whatever reason, and Brito isn't taking this seriously, and he gasses because Brito is I mean, like, I mean, he's all of what Wilson wants to be, right? Like, I do think that Wilson has the better jujitsu. He's better at like on the ground, slowing down the pace and methodically like working himself to the back. It's kind of impressive. I want to say like he reminds me of like a Chase Hooper, like the ground game, just kind of like he's able to do certain things that people aren't expecting. It's very hybrid sort of jujitsu. But his stand up is absolutely atrocious, and his pace is too slow. And I think that it's moving forward. As I was telling you, this is a good buy low spot for Wilson after this fight. I think that depending upon the matchup, I would pick Wilson just against Brito. I mean, there's just the experience, the speed, the power, the aggressiveness, the jujitsu on Brito's end is very high level. And I just think he ticks all the boxes in regards to this matchup. Wilson did a good job in taking this to get into the UFC. And I think after this loss and the time that it'll take to kind of shore up some of the striking methods and probably some of I mean, maybe jiu-jitsu defense when you're going up against UFC level jiu-jitsu. But yeah, it's Brito's fight for sure.
Ivana Petrovic making her UFC debut against Luanna Carolina. I I looked up Petrovic and then I looked at Carolina and I was kind of thinking, I don't know, Petrovic may have trouble taking Carolina to the ground. But then I looked at Carolina again, and I'm completely off of Carolina on this one. Her footwork. If you watch her footwork, it's bad. She does not have any footwork to defend. Her striking should be better than Petrovic, but it's certainly not intimidating. It's not scary, and I don't think Petrovic is, needs to be worried about getting caught by, a vicious Carolina KO. Petrovic, Petrovic got a little gassed in her last fight. It was a 5-round fight, so she's a pretty hefty favorite, -225. I didn't quite understand it, but I do now. If she gets Carolina on the ground, it's going to stay there for the rest of the round, and she only needs two of those rounds to go like that. I guess if it stays on the feet, maybe Carolina has a chance, but I went from thinking Carolina was a live dog to now I'm completely off of it. I like Petrovic pretty convincingly.
I'm sticking with Carolina.
Okay.
I'm sticking with Carolina, man. There's all the people that Ivana has fought are absolute cans. And the only one that gave her any sort of difficulty was still a can when it went to decision. And that was Marta Waldjacek, whatever, this Brazilian beefy, like very strong, aggressive fighter that was able to, was basically able to stuff all the takedown attempts. And when it did go to the ground, she was able to get back to her feet. And it's a split decision for a reason. Like you could have given it either way. I kind of like Marta to win this fight. And when I saw, the decision, yeah, I guess I could see, Ivana pulling it out, but for the most part, and everybody else after that has just been absolutely terrible. She does not have good takedowns. All she has is up against the cage. She doesn't even swim for better positions when she's got them up against the cage. And the only takedown she has is hooking the opponent's, she'll take a right leg, hook the opponent's left leg, and then try to do a pullover. And that just doesn't work against Carolina. I mean, especially against Lupita, in which she won, which she was a massive underdog. That's definitely a fight that you and I remember because, we were very high on Lupita at the time. And then,
that was when Loopy introduced us to her lack of fight IQ.
Yeah. She was like, I'm going to stand here and try to strike. But I think that here's the deal. If it gets to the ground, yes, I think that Ivana does have a chance to make things happen. I think that Luanna, though, is very big and very strong for the division. And I don't think that Ivana's had that much experience in dealing with that. The only close experience that she's had is against the Marta Waldjacek, which she won by split decision, arguably lost. And that was somebody who had much less experience than Luanna Carolina. So the odds are crazy. In my opinion, they're criminal. And so the value is on Luanna because it's a debutante coming in that is heavily favored because she's undefeated in a market in which she's fought nothing but cans, who has zero stand-up. And then her only path to victory is actually getting it to the ground with a takedown technique that is one-dimensional. So that's why I think that Carolina has this. It's just, I think moving forward, this is a great opportunity for her to, get her first loss, come back stronger than ever, because I absolutely love her ground game. It's impressive. It's different. The way she almost, it's like an anaconda, like slowly moving into a better position to either get the submission or to get the top control, the full mount. And she does have good, ground and pound, great elbows off the top. But again, it's just, I think it's too much too soon. And you look at the body of work in which Carolina's fought, and it's just it's the who's who. I think this is the apple pie shitter. One of them. There's a couple of on this card, and this is the first one.
Okay. Interesting. We might be head to head on that one. Yana Santos, Karol Rosa. I did not walk away from film study impressed with either one of them. The only thing I like in this is overs. I don't see a finish from either one of these fighters. So Santos just, dominated by Holly Holm. And Holly Holm, took her down and was able to easily win that battle. Santos really had nothing. And then look at Rosa, and she got beat up by Norma Dumont in her last fight. She barely beat Lena Landsberg. If you're forcing me to bet, I guess I may say Santos because I think her striking is just a little bit better. But the danger for Santos is those takedowns. I don't know if Rosa has what it takes to take it down. I think Santos is definitely on the downside. For that reason, I think overs is the only way you can go. I cannot pick a winner in this one.
I'm going to pick Rosa. It is close, but it's just I don't know what we're going to get, right? Like, so Santos was away for 2 years. I don't know, and then finally came back against Holly Holmes. And just Holly Holmes just showed levels to the game, right? Like her ability to get Santos to the ground. And this is Holly Holmes, who typically is either point karate fighter or evolved her fighting style to be a slow grinding up against the cage, kind of rabbit punching, dirty boxing to get the decision win. And then she showed off against the fight against Santos that, that she's got takedowns. I mean, does she have takedowns, or is Santos that bad at defending them? And I don't like, Rosa's, she's not the best, but she does get takedowns, and she just kind of like wet blankets her opponents, rabbit punch. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that Santos has the advantage on the striking, but she doesn't have power. That's the thing. She's quick, and she's got the length, but she doesn't have the power to really deter Rosa from moving forward and taking risks and trying to go for the takedown. And I think when she gets the takedown, Santos doesn't have any get-up game. It's just literally she's going to lay and pray off her back. She doesn't even try to really throw up submissions. And Rosa's grappling style is kind of more of like a head-to-chest, grinded out, not necessarily trying to go for an arm bar submission or something of that nature. So I like Rosa in this. I think is a middling women's matchup. But if I was to pick a side, I'd say Rosa. I haven't seen that many improvements from Santos since she's returned.
For the record, we're not betting on this.
No, not at all. But I'm just saying. No, not at all.
For
this
the record,
Romanov fight. No, those two fights. You need help. You need help if you do that. So yeah.
Kevin Lee, Rinat. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name. So here's my take on this fight, and you and I have talked about it. So you have Kevin Lee, who
this is an interesting. Yeah.
See, okay, so here's what I've heard the case for Kevin Lee, how you can make. Well, he can wrestle, and okay, he's kind of he's strong, he's powerful, and Rinat doesn't have all the experience in the world. I think what's going to happen is after this fight, if you didn't bet on Rinat, you're going to be sitting there going, why did I not bet on Rinat? Kevin Lee is coming off of a decision win in Eagle FC against Diego Sanchez,
what happened during that fight?
Yeah, he took down Diego Sanchez.
No. What did you listen to the commentary, or did you listen to the fight afterwards? Well, I did way too much deep dive on this fight. Okay. I looked like interviews, like all the stuff.
Okay.
Kevin Lee, he tore his ACL again during that fight.
Okay.
That's why it happened so long ago, a year ago. Anyway,
okay. So I just didn't think. Listen, yes, he tore it. Do you know when in the fight?
It was the very beginning. It was the very beginning of the fight in which they thought it was a calf kick, like that. How he couldn't put any. Like they thought that Diego Sanchez like numbed up his his foot, and so he couldn't put any weight on his left foot. Like he kept dragging it or whatever. It just looked different. It was more of a plotting style versus Kevin Lee, like typical Kevin Lee, right?
Okay.
So afterwards, you find that he did injure his knee. That's why it's been like over a year, and he's been good for probably like 6 months, 4 to 6 months, fully recovered. But he's just been he almost went to the PFL. The UFC came in, offered him a 6-fight contract, which he took. Dana White's son is a fan of Kevin Lee. All this weird information that I was digging into.
I think he's behind on Rinat. Rinat's going to be a little bit bigger. Kevin Lee tries to make 155, but it's not happening. So he's going up a weight division. Rinat's going to be taller. And you and I both like Brian Battle, and Rinat destroyed Brian Battle. I think Kevin Lee is a little bit better than Battle, but I think Rinat has him covered. I think Rinat does a fantastic job of using his strikes to set up the takedowns. I think once he gets
that is true. Yes.
His striking is, it's not like crazy lethal, but he flattened Brian Battle once,
No,
and it's good. It's really really good. I just don't think Lee is going to have the speed to either connect with Hanat or get Hanat on the ground. I think Hanat is that, I don't know, wiry, very flexible, but he does
mhm.
have the power. And Kevin Lee is not a flexible guy. He's kind of more power. And I think it
Yeah,
falls right in the Hanat hands. I stand by my word that
I
that
know.
after the fight, everyone's gonna be mad they didn't bet on Hanat.
I think that this is the other apple pie shitter.
See, and I
Okay.
think everyone's on Lee.
Really?
Yes.
That's
See,
okay. Then that weirds me out. I don't know about anybody being on lead. It does weird me out that people are even that are on him because I
okay.
was on Rinat big time and I still am. Like I look, Rinat is a quintessential Russian grappler striker. Like he's got insane grappling. The seatbelt waist locks to takedowns to the arm, the hand and wrist control is incredible. Um, his opponents are able to get up. So he's not end all be all. But the power in his hands that you were talking about, his striking isn't all he needs is power and a good left right hook, which he has, and which makes his opponents start to guess themselves, just like Khabib used to do, just like Hazmat does, is where once you get touched by his hands, now you're concerned with his striking. And so you don't know whether the strike or the takedown's coming, and that's what makes him so gosh darn impressive and dangerous. Now, here's something that's crazy. He was supposed to fight Michael Morales. He would have beat the absolute shit out of Michael Morales. Like there's another apple pie shitter coming in soon, and it's the Michael Morales fight, the co-main event. But he would have done that. He would have beat him up. But for whatever reason, it didn't happen because Michael Morales is fighting on this card, but they were originally matched up. So I don't know if they just are trying to keep Michael Morales going because they gave him who is it? They
And
gave
Max Griffin.
they gave him Max Griffin, not the co-main event, but the fight before that. But we'll get there. So anyway, I think Kevin Lee has a better chance than people might think. I didn't know people were on him, but I think that he's training at Killcliff. He's been training with RDA, and that he's comfortable now at 170 because that's what he wanted to do when he stepped up. Oh, and by the way, when he fought and he lost against Daniel Rodriguez, which I remember very well, you remember very well because we're on Kevin Lee. That was a short notice replacement because he was supposed to fight Sean Brady. And he was supposed to like really kind of test that wrestling ability that he's been wanting to test for a long time. So anyway, I think that this could be. I thought everyone's going to be on Rinat.
See, and I did too. And then I started looking around and I was like, wow, people are really liking Kevin Lee, or we'll see how it changes.
Yeah, I mean, if the odds get close, if it's go Rinat. If the odds
Yeah,
get the value, if it's a minus, if he's under 200, I mean, Rinat is the pick to make.
yeah.
But if they're doing Rinat at like a minus 250, something of that nature, then Kevin Lee's the value.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm confused here because I'm seeing here like everyone's on it or not, but I've watched videos, I've looked at some things, and I hear people saying that they think Kevin Lee. We'll see we'll see what the narrative is as the week moves on. Narratives change all the time. Maybe
Mhm.
something changes in this one. So I like it not.
I like Rinat too. It's just the fact that like they gave him a 6-fight contract right off the bat. He's been healed up for probably 4 to 6 months now. He couldn't get back in because of all he had to like take the time for the USADA stuff, do all the testing so that he was legit. I like that he's fighting out of Killcliff down in Miami, that he's no longer doing the Canadian trips, and that he's got the son, and that he's like changed his religions to he's a Muslim now. So there comes like, I don't know, like if he's a true one, that comes with stability. It comes with like dedication, and there's certain nuggets that make me think that he's only 30. Like this could be like that comeback story to where if they gave him a 6-fight contract, they see something in him that it's not just like, oh, hey, here, you're one and done. This is a name for Rinat to just run through. they see something in his ability to where he's going to be around in the UFC for a while. And he's so young that any adjustments that he made can pay dividends, right? Like he was so young in the UFC, left, came back, had an opportunity to fight for money in the PFL, didn't want to because he, wanted to fight the best of the best, whatever. So that's my, like, I have there's a world in which Kevin Lee wins. I still lean Rinat just because of just the grappling. It could be a very boring fight. But Kevin Lee has that power. He has the ability to switch. Who was it against where he was able to reverse plenty of times? What was it? It was against Charles Oliveira. Even though he lost to the guillotine choke round 3, he would go to the ground with Charles. Charles would get him in submissions. He's got great submission defense or getting out of bad positions. Whatever is on his back against Charles, he was able to muscle himself into like an on top position. Then they scramble to get back onto their feet. So it's not too bad, right? Like I think his most recent fights are really like dictating people's opinion of him. But anyway, moving on.
That is more time spent on a Kevin Lee fight than ever before.
You're right. Well, it's because I really like Rinat, and us, right? Like we're looking for bets to make.
Mm-hmm.
And so you and I were like, Rinat. And I'm like, something's up, something's iffy. And so that's why I went that deep into Kevin Lee, right? To try to solidify a decision.
Nursulton, I think it's Ruziboev versus Bruno Ferreira. Bruno Ferreira broke our hearts as well as many others with the insane KO of Gregory Rodriguez. I still don't know what happened with that one and how Rodriguez let that happen. But
I watched it again. I watched it 4 times. I mean, it was, I can't believe it looks fake. It just the way that he hits him right on that. It's got to be like like the Achilles heel story.
Yeah.
Like he's impervious except for his ankle.
Yes.
And that's like that one spot on Rodriguez's chin that
makes no sense.
That Ferreira touched, and then he's down. It was like, my dude, he got whatever. Let's not get into it. Okay.
Wow, you are on one tonight. All right, Ruziboev and Ferreira. You want to start talking about Nursulton? This is a guy new to UFC. He's unique. He's a unique character. There's a lot we can go at. Why don't you just start talking to him? I'll try and fill in the holes.
Well, he's the number 3 Russian fighter in middleweight. In the middleweight, number 3 middleweight Russian fighter, which is kind of impressive, right? And until like I'm sniffing some cans situation.
Sniffing.
You look at him. Well, I mean, you look at it.
I'm eating.
I'm
he's
inhaling, 34.
I'm consuming.
He's 34, 8-2. The one fight that he did lose was just like a grapple situation where, I mean, he did have opportunities. He's doing up submissions. The dude has chicken legs. He's 6'4". My Lord, he is 6'4" in the middleweight. And the reason for that is because he is a chicken leg man, but the upper body is absolutely massive. It is actually developed because the one loss that he had where he was out grappled or out like wrestled muscled, where it was literally he was on the bottom. There's a lot of top control. Since then, he just got wider and wider and wider. And now he's just this upper body monster that tends to finish all of his fights in the first round with crazy ass submissions. He is a submission machine. He's got good. He reminds me of Rinat in regards to his striking style, where literally he's got power in his hands. It's not the most like polished, but he's got he's got long arms and he comes in with the 1-2 to try to get the body lock, to get you up against the cage, to pull guard, to get it to the ground, where he's just, I mean, it's pretty crazy. Some of the submissions that he pulls off from some of the positions. Now here's the thing. He's going up against Bruno Ferreira, right? Undefeated fighter, 10-0, powerhouse, switch fighter, fast hands, strong hands, good ground and pound. Yeah.
This is such a unique style that I think this one's impossible I think this one's impossible to figure out unless you want to try and take an under or anything. But based on what we saw last event, I don't think anyone's going to be taking an under anytime soon in an obvious spot. I mean, Ferreira finishes everything in the first round, and he just needs that one shot. And
Mhm.
can he land it on a 6'4" guy? Yeah, I think he
Hell yeah,
can.
he can. I mean, all he
Yeah,
has to do is come in and do an overhand, like he's going to be like he does anyway. Like he's typically the shorter fighter. He definitely is because his first fight, he came up a weight class. He came up a weight class to fight
yeah,
RoboCop.
yeah. I kind of lean Bruno Ferreira here because of this is going to be the hardest Nursulton's ever been hit, like by far. And you don't know how he's going to react. And I can Nursulton get Bruno to the ground? Probably, but if Bruno softens him up early, it's going to be really tough.
Well, here's the thing that I see happening is, and this is why it's a stay away from me. I mean, or inside the distance. It's got to be inside the distance. Bruno he hasn't shown that he's got the cardio to even, to go that far. Ruziboev does. He's been to the distance a few times. If he goes to the distance, he loses typically because he's gone up against a better grappler, one that just. And this was, I mean, the last time he lost was back in 2018 or something like that. 2019, 2018. It's been a while. But again, all the people that he's fought since then, even though the records look pretty solid, when you look at who they fought the last, it was him. They haven't fought since then. Or if they have fought since then, they've lost their next two fights. So it's very kind of iffy. There's a lot of red flags that come up in regards to this card. However, this is what I see happening on the Ruziboev side is that he's not going to try to grapple Ferreira because Ferreira is going to come at him. What he's going to try to do, what's probably going to happen is he's going to get cracked or he's going to act like he gets cracked. And he's going to pull guard. He's going to go to the ground. Ferreira's going to try to ground and pound him. And then
Triangle,
Ruziboev's going
armbar.
to throw up, dude. I mean, he is so long and so just good at like reversals and switching and I mean like his Kimura, dude, he uses the Kimura so well to get out of bad positions out of like top control. Like he uses it either to submit or to get the reversal. Like you see a lot like Brendan Allen does, like you see a lot of these fighters now taking advantage of the Kimura just to get back to their feet. But I think that like he's not going to like the power, so he's going to want to keep it on the ground. I think he pulls guard and something sneaky happens off his back. Or Ferreira goes out there and literally the first time he touches him, he puts his lights out. So I say fight don't go to distance.
Yeah, that's the only way I think you could play this. I mean, if you're going to bet Bruno Ferreira, I would say just bet him inside the distance or by KO. I can't see Ferreira grinding out a decision win, and Nursulton. I guess you could take inside the distance or just by submission. So,
I mean, it is a short notice replacement as well. He was going up. Ferreira was going up in another grappler. Who was it? It was anyway. I mean, it was going to be a similar style of fighter. But I guess Ruziboev's been ready. He's been looking for fights, but hasn't been able to get one. I think since March. So hopefully, he shows up fight ready. We'll see. But he's going to be a great addition to the UFC. I mean, if he doesn't win this, I really would like him moving forward, depending upon how he shows up, because his skill sets, his size, his reach, his power, and his submissions it's pretty awesome to watch. The only question being is that he's fought cans. So is he legit? This will be a great test for that. If he wins, then look out.
yeah.
Anyway.
Saint-Denis, Ismail Bonfim, man, the odds, they are not giving you a break on Bonfim. I looked at this fight from a couple of different ways, and I think it's kind of hard to really say exactly what we've seen from, Saint-Denis. So, he loses his UFC debut to Zaleski, does a nice job against Stolza, gets takedowns, gets the finish, and then, Gabriel Miranda, Gabriel Miranda is probably not UFC caliber. So, I mean, he did what he's supposed to do the last two fights. I just think Bonfim is a different animal. I think Saint-Denis will probably think he's got the advantage on the ground. And Bonfim does not have, incredible submission game or ground game or anything. But I think he's got good enough defense and good enough speed to stuff the attempts, whether it's just being quick enough to get out of the way or being strong enough early. But on the feet, man, this is a boxing champion. His hand speed is so much faster than most, and I think it's definitely quicker than Saint-Denis. I think the odds are insane. Minus
Yes.
285 is just bonkers. I mean, you're going to have to use it in a parlay piece. But my path to victory for Saint-Denis is, can he get it on the ground and work over Bonfim on the ground? And there is absolutely a world that he can do that, and that's why I definitely don't like the minus 285. But man, I love Bonfim's boxing, and I think first round Bonfim can be super crisp. He can damage up Saint-Denis en route to victory. But this is going to be an exciting fight. Both guys are definitely going for the finish. It's going to be high octane. I give the edge to Bonfim, but odds, I'll pass.
Exactly. Now this is my candidate, and one of them for fight of the night. I think they're mirror images of themselves in certain ways. They're highly aggressive. They're very similar. They're kind of like shorter, thicker. They're not the long, rangy fighters. They're like these brawlers that come in. Bonfim definitely has the advantage in the striking realm. I think that the power is pretty much equal, if not giving it to. I mean, it is pretty much equal. I think that the wrestling, I think the wrestling's pretty much equal. I think the grappling and the submission game, you would lean Saint-Denis. So yeah, it just all depends. They're gonna run right into each other. They're both. I mean, Saint-Denis was part of the whatever special forces, like French special forces or whatever, then got into the UFC. So he's got like that background. But neither of these guys are going to back down. They're going to come right at each other, and there's going to be a car wreck, and it's just who blinks first. That's what I see happening. It's like
I love it.
I mean, it's and that's why I like the value on Benoit Saint-Denis. I mean, it's horrendous that he's at that high a plus money. I mean, you could like. I think it should be much closer. I mean, because they both have a chance to win. I mean, they're very, in my eyes, and watching the tape and seeing their styles of fighting, I do think that it's a lot more equal than the odds would give you. And so I do give the advantage to Bonfim, but I hate him at that price tag, and I do not like parlaying him, especially with the tenacity and the will not quit kind of like style of Benoit Saint-Denis. Like, he's going to go out there on his shield. Either you're going to have to finish him or whatever. Like, he's not really going to lay down and take an ass whooping from the Bonfim. Now,
yeah,
Bonfim, go ahead.
Saint-Denis 10-1, Bonfim 19-3. I mean, these are two legit big time fighters that are going to put on a show. And yeah, when you have two guys that like are going to be this aggressive towards each other, just minus 285 is bonkers to me.
It really is. It really is. And I think that if it keeps like that, I mean, for those out there, not that, taking a stab on, there's worse bets on this card for sure. At that value, there's worse bets,
Absolutely.
Because I think it should be a lot closer. And it's going to be a great fight. It's there's a lot of them on this card.
I would not put it. This is one of them. Ariane Lipski and Melissa Gatto. All right. So you have Gatto as a small favorite, minus 165, versus Lipski at plus 140. Nathan, I think this is one time where I don't think the favorite is a high enough favorite.
Are you with Gatto runs it?
Yeah.
Gatto runs through Lipski for sure.
Yeah. Okay, good. We're on the same. We didn't talk about this, but we
didn't. We didn't even talk about this fight at all. I'm with you, man.
I'll start. Lipski's 2-3 in her last 5. All 3 losses, she's been finished. She beat Mandy Baum, who's terrible. Absolutely. And then JJ Aldrich in her last fight. And I will give her this. Aldrich was an improvement from where she was at. But I cannot really tell you what she does exceptionally well. And I don't like her nickname, Queen of Violence, because if your nickname is Queen of Violence, you should at least be violent. Like, just no finishes in 11 UFC fights. She's
Yeah.
not gonna finish Gatto here.
No.
And Gatto, I think we're getting a great deal on Gatto because she lost her to Tracy Cortez. Cortez got takedowns, and Cortez won on the ground, but Gatto was live. And Cortez
Oh,
is
yeah.
good. Cortez is good, man. She's got those really big, strong legs, and Gatto, did not go down without a fight. Lipsky's nowhere near
Mhm.
the power
Yeah.
of Tracy Cortez. So if Gatto can at least hang with Cortez, I think she takes care of Lipsky. I mean, I think she's going to get it up against the cage. I think she can work clinch and dirty boxing, and if she wants to get it the ground, she can keep it on the ground. I just don't know where you can say, oh, Lipsky's got the advantage or Lipsky's good at that. I think minus 165 is a gift from the gambling guy.
It is a gift. It's a buy low candidacy, and so I would jump on it if you can. I mean, now, just because Lipsky's only path to victory in my eyes. There's two areas in which she's better. One is the knees in the clinch. Her knees in the clinch and the plum clinch they're pretty impressive. And then also, I guess her striking, like she's a more polished striker. She's got better combos. I'll give her that. And maybe a speed advantage, but not a power advantage. Gatto is just going to be the bigger fighter, going to like actually have the longer reach, which I don't think Lipsky is used to. And she's got the takedown. She's going to do her ground game is insane. Her submission, she's constantly searching for the Kimuras, the triangles, using that to get back to her feet when she's up against opponents that actually have a ground game. Like she did against Tracy Cortez. She was such a massive favorite against Cortez because she was on that win streak. But Cortez is just a grinding, strong. Like she's strong. She's a good grappler.
I thought
she's
they
a
both
good
looked
wrestler.
good.
No, they did. I mean, it was a good fight. I mean, the odds would have made you think that Gatto was going to run through Cortez, but that wasn't the case. Cortez, showed up and really showed that Gatto needs to work on her, just on her wrestling, on getting back up or her takedown defense. But that she doesn't have to worry about that from Lipsky. Lipsky is going to try to outpoint her and outstrike her, and that's not going to work. I mean, she's the longer, stronger, more aggressive fighter who's going to push forward, get it to the ground, and then just probably submit her, probably ground and pound her totally. I mean, this is one women's fight where I would say I think Gatto finishes it. I think she comes back with a vengeance after that loss, being on that win streak, and then, puts an end to Lipsky.
I agree. I think this is the fight of all of them that kind of slides under the radar as here's a favorite that should be a bigger favorite. So
yes, yeah, no, we're 100% on the same page with this one.
Max Griffin, Michael Morales. You kind of hinted that you think Griffin is a live dog here. Yeah, I could poke some holes in Morales up to this point. His fight against Fugit was okay. He just he fought young,
Fugit was a short term.
Yeah. If Fugit was a short nose placement, Fugit's not great, but Morales made some mistakes. Fugit had a little bit of success. Morales finally settled in and then showed off. I mean, just his amazing power and striking when he gets a clean shot. He's got this is a KG veteran, Max Griffin. His best days are behind him, but quite the gatekeeper type, or kind of the stepping stone here. I think Griffin, if he is going to have success, he's got to make this just dirty and physical and up against the fence, and he's got to stay out of range of Morales. He cannot let Morales get going with combinations on the feet. And the biggest question for me in this one is, as Michael Morales gets older, he has to improve each fight because they're just going to give him better and better competition. So if he fights like the way he did against Adam Fugit, even though he got the finish, I don't think he beats Max Griffin.
Exactly.
And so if we're betting on Michael Morales, we're betting on, well, he's going to be better in this fight. Now, I got to tell you, I don't think that's a bad bet because we see it we saw it with Topuria just recently. Like, what a step up in his game. Beating Josh Emmett the way he did. I thought he looked so much better than his previous fight. We see these guys get better. I don't know if it's baked into the price here, but I think Max Griffin can cause some trouble. My biggest worry for Griffin is just the speed and the jabs of Morales. If Griffin can't get inside of him, if Morales has worked on his takedowns, his
Well,
wrestling, and can establish the distance, then I think he pieces up Griffin. What do
well,
you think?
here's the thing that I see. So this is another. There's a bunch of apple pie shitters, whatever, but this is a big one as well. And the reason being because of the experience, Max Griffin, because of his footwork, because he always moving laterally, so he's not going to be there to stand in front and bang like Mike Morales has typically had with his opponents. Fugit just came walking forward, stayed right in front of him. Look, Michael Morales is his striking is so crisp. His jab is a no look jab. It is highly impressive. His ground, his defense, like his ability to stay calm off of his back, is great as well. And his get up game is very very good. The funny thing that I mentioned earlier is that he was supposed to fight Rinat.
Yep.
He was going to get his ass kicked by Rinat. I've seen nothing in regards to his takedown defense against that style. It was a bad matchup for him. It was a bad style matchup. This is a much better matchup for him than the Rinat fight. And the UFC knew that. They want to keep this guy's win streak going. Max Griffin, on the other hand, with all the experience that he has, he's got good power in his hands. He's fast. And I mean, even for his age, he's still elusive on the in and out. Like the way he's able to move in and move out, move laterally to stay away from his opponent, and then just kind of like, poke and get there. The thing that I see the most, though, is his leg kicks. The way he's able to just, stab at the calf and then get back out and stab at the calf, I think can be a problem for Morales. And then if Max Griffin's able to get it to the ground, I think his top pressure, like he's not going to be looking for submissions. He's not going to be he's just going to be looking to hold him there and like do some ground and pound and show that top pressure. And I think that also might be a factor in how this fight goes. It's basically, it's like, do you believe in the striking and the improvements that Morales has made? Because he does space out his fights. I mean, what was the last time that he fought? It was
Fugit was a while ago.
it was back in it's a year ago. It'll be almost a year.
Almost a year.
So, and I guess like look at his Instagram and everything. He's definitely bulked up. He's definitely bigger than he was. He's trying to put on mass for for this weight class, which is great. I just wonder if he's been able to work on his takedown defense and his ground game as much as he's done with his striking. So, the more I think about it, the Morales he's going to win this fight. I don't like him at the odds that he's at. Because Max Griffin definitely has, I guess, the tools to get the upset. So we're going to see. We're going to see if Morales is there or not. I mean, they definitely didn't like him enough to put him up against Rinat, so they know that his ground game isn't that good to beat somebody like Rinat. So they put him up against Griffin, who's got solid striking, who's a veteran, who has good wrestling, leg kicks. He's kind of like that all-around fighter, right? Like he's not great in one area, but he's not bad in an area.
Yeah.
So this is a good test for him.
Morales is going to lose fairly soon. I'm just not sure I'm not sure this is the fight. So
yeah, I'm with you, man. They want him to keep this winning streak. They like him. They want to pump him.
He's the new Roman Reigns.
Yeah, it's yeah. But I mean, he like that dude. There was moments in which Fugit had him, like early, like it wasn't a dominant performance, and Fugit was that journeyman sort of fighter that took it on short notice. And in some areas, you could see the holes in Morales's game, and it took him till the third round to really, crack and use that jab to establish the dominance. But I don't think that's going to be the case with Griffin. He doesn't walk forward. He moves around the side. So I think that Morales is going to come to him, so we'll see. It'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Damir Ismagulov versus Grant Dawson. I'll let you start. 24-2 versus 19-1. I mean, the winner of this one skyrockets up the rankings. You got to believe these are two highly touted guys. Who do you like?
I don't know, man. This is a toss up for me. I really like Damir at first, and then I started watching Grant Dawson's tape, and as much as I hate him, Like his style is like when they put the two together, because I really, really don't like Mark Madsen, the undefeated. I just
I
like,
can vouch for that.
yeah,
He
I mean,
does not.
just I don't like. It's a boring style, but it worked, right? Like, oh, I'm just gonna lay on. I'm gonna get him to the ground. I'm gonna lay on the opponent. This Grant Dawson beat him in his own game. He was absolutely relentless at the wrestling. Here's the funny thing. It's like it's an interesting style. Like you've got the US, like the wrestling, collegiate wrestling style, single leg, shoot the pipe, get the takedown, smother, take the back sort of, versus the Russian style, which is more of the waist lock, wrist control, up against the cage, slowly getting him to the ground, work the leg, like drop their legs out from under them. And so I don't know. Like Demir's got it on the feet. He's got the power. He's got solid takedown defense. He's got solid grappling and get up game. But against Grant Dawson, who is just tenacious and has nonstop cardio and nonstop takedown offense, and it's a different style. So I don't know if Demir's going to be used to that. That's the thing. Like that's where I think the chink in the armor happens, is that Grant Dawson's wrestling style is going to be something that Demir is not going to expect, because he's going to expect more of the MMA style and the Russian style, waist lock, clinch game, drop down to the double, or the, grabbing behind and like sweeping him out. And Grant Dawson's just like go for the single, run it to the side. Like it's a different style. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, so when we had talked before, before we both kind of really dove into the tape, you were like Demir. I thought I was going to be out on a limb here. Not only do I think it's closer to a toss-up, I think Dawson edges him out here. That's exactly what I wrote down. You did a great job covering all that. I also have a couple of little, red flags. So, Demir, my gosh, he's fought Sarukian and Guram. But wins a split decision against Guram, which was a fantastic fight.
Amazing.
I forgot that in the third round, really late, Guram had Demir and he kneed him in the chest and knocked him down. Herb Dean ruled it a knee to the head, which it wasn't. And instead of giving Guram the position and basically credit for the awesome knee at the end, he stood him up and Demir lands a couple of shots. So I went back and looked at the scorecards. 2-1 for Demir in the third round in that one. Like literally that one thing we could be looking at Demir, who's lost to Guram and Sarukian. Now, obviously, no shame in that.
Yeah.
I paid attention to that Sarukian fight, and I think Dawson, when he gets a hold of you, like he said, he just has you. And I thought that's what Sarukian did. And I think it really speaks a lot that Grant Dawson turned down a fight against Sarukian, but accepted Demir. I think
right. Yeah.
And because I think he looked at that fight that Sarukian had with Demir and said, I can do that. And maybe even a little bit better and maybe a little bit more vicious with a more solid body triangle. Demir obviously has him on the feet, but like you said, Dawson will just do whatever it takes to get it down to the ground. And I think if he gets it down to the ground, like you said, it's a style that Demir has not totally seen before. You can practice it, but it's pretty hard to replicate a Grant Dawson body triangle.
Yeah.
Or the ferociousness of Grant Dawson's takedowns. It's super, super close. If it stays on the feet, it's Demir all day. I have Dawson as the underdog in this.
I'm with you. I mean, in just hearing you talk about that as well, that's what I envision. Dawson's not stupid. He's got good fight IQ. He knows his bread and butter, right? Like you have to go up against somebody that has an insane takedown defense to have a chance against Grant Dawson. It's been so long since he's lost, and it's because he's just that smothering fighter. Like you've got to either catch him with a knee on the come in, or you have to have some sort of insane takedown defense to where you can, or you're just an absolute phenom with the grappling to where it's like, okay, you want to take me down, I can get the reversals, I can throw the Kimura, I can threaten with the triangle or the buggy choke or something of that nature. Like he's got the and Demir doesn't have that. I mean, he's a good hybrid fighter. He's a very good hybrid fighter, but this is a bad matchup for him.
It's going to be great to watch.
It really is. I mean, well, it's actually, it could be great or boring, or whatever, right? It could be, but
it's going to be so high level though. It maybe it is all wrestling and grappling, but it's going to be awesome. wrestling and grappling. Like
Yeah.
it's not going to be sloppy.
And if Dawson can't get him out of there, right? Like,
oh, if he can't wrap him up and get him on the ground and control, Demir will piece him up on the feet for 3 straight rounds, and it
for
won't
sure.
even be close. So
I mean, well, the thing is, because you also got to look at, and here's the problem, is that it's a level of competition. It's like you look at Grant Dawson's level of competition, and it's Derek Minner. It's Nad Naramanani.
how dare you?
It's
Jared
Leonardo
Gordon.
Santos. It's Jared Gordon. It's Mark. I mean, Mark Madsen is, but it's the same thing. Like, he was the better of the two, like, wrestle fuck. Excuse my French, but the wrestle guys. Like, he was the better of the two, and somebody finally, gave Mark that loss.
Yeah,
but it's Demir could. I mean, he could come in, and Demir could just literally just smoke him. Just on the feet, just no big deal. But if he does get in close, if he does get the leg, and he does get it down, there's definitely a world where Dawson takes it, man.
Sean Strickland, Abus Magomedov in the main event. Before we get to that, real quick, guys, just a reminder, all of our official plays are on wagertalk.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. And Sean Strickland and Magomedov. Magomedov comes into the UFC, kills a guy in 19 seconds, and then gets to fight Sean Strickland. Talk about meteoric rise through the rankings. I'll start with how I see it. Go back and look at Magomedov, and his record, 25-4. It speaks for itself. He hasn't fought a whole lot. I mean, Lewis Taylor, it was it's his last loss in 2018. Lewis Taylor, what a insane story that is. This was Lewis Taylor's last fight. He retired undefeated. Or no, not undefeated, but what was his record? Okay, so he was 18-4, but he had won like everything before that, and he just walked off. He won $1 million.
Yeah, PFL,
and caught him with an insane left. I think if Taylor doesn't land that, he probably gets beat pretty handily. But so he has.
He knew.
He knew.
He knew where his life was. He was like, I got lucky, because I think he was a massive underdog.
Yeah. So, but before that, I mean, a boost decision, but he wins it against Saddam. So he hasn't lost to Taylor, and then we have a fight in 2019, one in 2020, and then he has a bunch of canceled fights and all that stuff, and then he comes in at Stoltzfus and just completely bum rushes him. And my worry and my problem with handicapping this is we haven't seen him in UFC. We've seen him for 20 seconds beat up Dustin Stoltzfus. So if I'm him, I think my plan is you got to do the same thing that Alex Pereira did to Sean Strickland, and the same thing that Magomedov did to Stoltz. You got to go in and you got to just absolutely overpower him in the first, because we've seen Sean Strickland over and over again just get guys into standing there and boxing for 5 rounds. And I mean, he's one of the best at it, if not the best, at getting guys to just come in and box forever. I don't know if Magomedov will even attempt takedown. Strickland's takedown defense is fine. Boy, if this gets out of the first or second round, I see Strickland pulling away and pulling away and pulling away, because that means he's winning a good boxing match, which is would be a classic Sean Strickland fight.
No, I agree. Like, you got to look at his losses, right? He lost against Alex Pereira, of course. Lost against Jared Kanner, which was that was iffy. Jared Kanner was busted the fuck up in that. At the end of that fight, so I think that could have gone either way.
I thought Strickland won it.
Yeah,
I didn't have a bet on it, but when they were raising hands, whatever.
It's all. But you got to look at like the style of people that he's fought. He fought Brendan Allen back in the day when Brendan Allen was, he hadn't evolved to what he was. And then you've got Jared Kanner, you got Nasrin Imavov, who wants to stand and bang, who is that weird striker fighter that Strickland was able to pull him into. Jack Hermanson he won against. But that's, Jack Hermanson's so low volume. Yeah.
He beat up Uriah Hall really, really good. That was
Mhm.
where he really came onto the scene. So, what do you think Magomedov has to do here?
I think Magomedov has to keep it. He just has to stay creative. Not do. I mean, basically, I mean, he's got insane power, and he's a very creative striker. Uh, he likes to throw the front steep kicks, as we saw when he put his foot through the mouth of Stolfus. That was
That
insane.
was well
But they've
put.
also been trying to get him into the UFC forever. COVID happened, and so visa issues happened. So it's been a long time coming. They've known that that they've wanted him in because of his skill set, that he could, like he is definitely a title contender. Um, it's just due to circumstances, it never panned out sooner than later. So now he's finally in, and they're trying to push him to the top because he is up there in age as well, right? Like how old is he? He's what is he? Oh, 30. Well, no, he's not too bad. 32 years old. Yeah, he's all right. I mean, he's in his prime.
They're both getting up there. They're both pretty close
Yeah,
to being out of their prime.
yeah. I see, but I like, to be honest, I like a boost in this fight. I just think that the aggression, I think that the even if it is like the grappling, I mean Strickland's takedown defense. I think that Abusa's dirty boxing, his ability to get it up against the cage. I know Strickland's got it as well, but I just think that his elbows off of the clinch. I think that he has an opportunity to cut up Strickland and just like visually make it more like to the judges. Um, and then I think his legs are really going to pay dividends in regards to his ability to keep away from the boxing of Strickland. Like keep it on the outside, keep moving, utilize the legs, utilize the steep kick, and that's it. And then just kind of, I see the fight kind of going longer than people expect. I don't know if it goes 5 rounds. What do you think?
I mean, if Abus wins, it doesn't go 5 rounds.
Yeah.
I could see Strickland winning a 5 round just boxing battle. Where if he makes it his fight and Abus doesn't land those big kicks early and Strickland makes it his fight, I could see Abus all busted up with Sean Strickland winning 5 rounds. I I won't. I certainly will not be betting on this one.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell me Abus wins first round knockout. I would, oh, okay, I believe it. Or Strickland wins decision. Oh, okay, I believe it. I could see a little bit of everything. I will say you'll know. I think you'll know everything you need to know about the fight in the first round. If it's, you'll know if Abus can hang with Strickland or if Strickland has just roped another one into,
Mm-hmm.
standing there and just going toe to toe.
Yeah, if you are to bet I mean, it's not a bad idea maybe to, I don't know, to take a boost as the underdog and then see how the first round goes. Like, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of like what you just said. I mean, the value's there. Well, I mean, they're pretty much an even fight, plus 145, minus 175. Take a boost at the beginning, see what his strategy is, because you know what Strickland's going to do. Like, how the fight's going to go. Within the first round, you're going to know how the fight's going to go. So, yeah, I mean, that would be kind of like if you were going to play it, but we're going to kind of steer clear of this main event.
all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Let's see. I think we like Guram, Romanov, Ivanov. No idea. We like Brito over Wilson. We're kind of going head to head on that one. I like Petrovic. Nathan likes Carolina, Santos and Rosa. Kind of split on that one. Lee and Rinat. I guess we both like Rinat, but with an asterisk. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess by it.
Well, it's like we'll see by the end of the week like where the line goes, because right now, I mean, he's a minus 230,
yeah,
which I don't agree with. And we'll see. And you're saying like everybody's on Lee, so
listen. The Tapology says all the public or the people that voted are on or not. I'm just telling you, my people in my smaller circle have raised been doing the Kevin Lee thing. So I don't know. Nursulton, Ferreira, kind of a toss up. I think we both like
doesn't go the distance. Like
doesn't go
the
the
under is
distance.
what you got to that you're looking at there.
Saint-Denis and Bonfim, I think it's kind of where, if the odds were dead even, you'd take Bonfim.
Yes.
You stand at minus 285. Should be a banger and an amazing fight. Lipsky and Gatto, Nathan and I both really like Gatto. Griffin and Morales, slight lean to Morales, but we think it's going to be a really good test, and Griffin is a live dog.
Mm-hmm.
Demir Ismagulov, Grant Dawson, toss up. Maybe
We're going
slightly
Dawson, though. We're
Dawson.
leaning Dawson.
Take the underdog in that one.
Yeah, we're taking the underdog. There's got to be a few of them on this card.
Strickland and Magomedov, no prediction. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. We will be back later in the week. We'll go over some props and some spreads for UFC Fight Night, Strickland versus Magomedov. Once again, all plays on wagertalk.com. Follow us on Twitter, and let's have a great week.